Hi everybody, this is Rita Townsend, and it's 3 o'clock on the East Coast. Let me tag a few people and let them know that I'm on, and hopefully some of my friends can join in and maybe learn a few things about what I'm sharing this afternoon, because this is a lot about kind of my journey and some things that I can share through my many years of wisdom and many decades of life. And it all kind of was kind of, it all started because I had a birthday. And the birthday always makes us think and reflect. And it did for me, because I like to be away when I celebrate birthdays. I don't like to have a lot of focus on my birthday, and it's just something that I've done for a really long time. And so, of course, needless to say, I didn't get to do that this year. So I decided to take that information and kind of turn it into a positive and really think about some things that have been a part of my journey, not just a part of my lifetime journey, but also a part of my health journey. And as we age, we know that that becomes more and more of a focus, because we start seeing things and we start feeling things and we start asking some of these questions about, is this it? Where am I going? How do I feel, and why am I feeling this way? And I hate these things that we do when we talk about aging gracefully, because there's so many trite things that we say about aging. Oh, it's just a number. It's really never too old or never too late. It just doesn't define who I am. There's a lot of things that we say about it. And then we say we're aging gracefully. Well, you know, gracefully can mean a lot of things to a lot of people, but honestly, what does it mean to you? And that's what I want to share with you today. So when they think about this thing of aging, it's very relative and it's very general. But I have felt very strongly that we're simply not aging and living like our parents did, because probably for most of us, we look at pictures and we look at family photos and we go, wow, I'm the age of my mom now and I look completely different and I live a different lifestyle than our parents did. So there's some reasons for that, and there's some things that I'm going to share with you today that I think have everything to do with that. And it's something that is, it means something different to every single one of us. So I want you to think about maybe digging a little deeper, and not so much about what it is on the outside, but maybe some more about what it really is on the inside. And think about some of the things that we might know today that we didn't know in our parents' journey. And for me, I started most everything late. I married late. I adopted my daughter late, very late. And the joke with her and most of my family was that by the time she graduated high school, I'd be on Social Security. Well, it was pretty darn close. But that was a journey. And at that point in my life, I realized that my life was changing dramatically, and I know a lot of you have been through that. And I'm going to tell you today about this aging process, because it doesn't start when we might think that it does. And those things are certainly landmarks that cause us to think about our lives, but that doesn't necessarily define how we're aging. So as an empty nester, I had a lot of plans, a lot of things I wanted to do, like most of you, and I was very busy with my daughter for all those previous 18 years and really didn't think very much about it. And as you young moms know, in the early years, it's all you can do to carve out an hour to go to the grocery store or go to the gym. So what happens at that next phase of life is totally different and opens up a lot of doors, which is wonderful and joyful. But the truth for me is that I began to realize how different my life really was. And I was tired all the time. I was doing a lot of really good things. I was going to the gym, working out a lot. I was traveling, we were having a lot of fun, but I was just tired. I mean, you could really call it fatigue. And I dreaded holidays because my house was the place where everybody came, and I was working all you do all the things that moms do. And I was just tired. And I began to think about how this might affect the things that I really wanted to do in my life. And I began to listen to some younger friends who were complaining about simple things like crow's feet and the few lines on their faces. And honestly, it was kind of laughable, kind of funny, and you may feel that way too. But here's what we're guilty of. We're very guilty of thinking about how we're looking on the outside when this aging thing is going on, but we're not always thinking about what really may be happening on the inside when this aging thing starts. And I'm going to share some information for you today that's really going to surprise you, and you maybe can share with some friends. But the good news is we're living in an amazing time where there's so many breakthroughs in science and technology and health that we have had the benefit of, and we continue to have the benefit of. And really it started in the 90s when we were able to map our DNA and look at this genome structure. And it unleashed a ton of research and innovation. And many of those that you've probably heard about are used in some incredible new technologies around very dramatic things like cancer treatments. So it's wonderful to have that, but do you know that some of those things are available to us in a simpler way to talk about how we age? And so that's really what my story is today. It was just really kind of this vague kind of thing about aging. And the normal activities of my life were feeling very different. And as I mentioned, I felt like I started everything late. When my daughter left, it was late in my life. And there was a lot that I still had planned to do. So the first thing I did to deal with this, because I was doing some things that were pretty good, and my eating and exercise were good. I had started going and buying all kinds of vitamins. And the fancier the packaging and the more pills in the pack sounded pretty good and sounded like it was going to be the answer for me. But you know what? In fact, it really wasn't. And months went by with really no change. Mentally, I was looking for a change, and I really didn't have that change. So I began to realize that there was really something going on a deeper level. And I wasn't so sure that vitamins were really going to help this aging thing. So I had to reconcile myself to what aging really meant. So fast forward, I really started digging in, and I was really looking for things that may be a part of what they were offering our generation. Baby boomers, I think, is what they call us. I mean, there's a few other generations we've named since there. But that's really what they were calling us. Great spending power, great opportunities to enjoy those years, right? Well, the fact of the matter is you're still a baby boomer. And there are things that you're dealing with on your health that may not necessarily be so wonderful. But here's the facts. It's simply a biological decline in every system of your body. It's natural, it's what happens, it's God-given, and it's just part of what we can expect. But here's some statistics. Now, when people join me on my lives, I always want to tell you where my research is coming from. And what I'm sharing with you today, two primary sources, the National Institutes on Aging and the National Institutes on Health. And here are some statistics. one of the first things that we notice as we age is brain function and cognitive function. Eyes. Our eyes actually start declining after age 40. Ears, high frequency tones decline in our 20s. Your heart rate declines by 20 to 30% by age 20. Your bones, the mineral content of your bones, starts to decline after age 35. Now, I'm guessing that most everybody on this call today are past 35, past 20, past 40. So these are things that are already going on for you. Your muscle mass progressively declines after age 40. What? Yes, and these are some facts. And so the good news is that we know these things now, and we should be aware of those things now. The bad news is that not everybody is willing to do things to help slow this and mitigate some of these things. But there are things that we can do. There are 4 very distinct areas that we know that are relative to how we age. 4 simple things. And they are, number 1, and you've had it preached this year ad nauseum, is diet and nutrition. Number 2 is movement. Now, when you're aging, it's called movement. When you are not aging, it's called exercise. So where are you on that? Next is social interaction or lifestyle. And that's another one of those foundational areas. And I honestly think that this year, our brains have been retrained. We've been reprogrammed. We've had all of this information about the things that we need to do that were more critical than ever in this last year. And yet, these are things that we've known for a very long time, long before the pandemic hit. But they came at a time, and we were reminded at a time of how critical they are to all our health, our overall health. So that social interaction or lifestyle. And the last one of these 4 is what is called nutritional modification. Now, nutritional modification can mean a number of different things, and I'll touch on that a little bit. So if it sounds like a lot of science to you, it is science, and that's where we need to be. We need to be taking advantage of what we know from the science. And if COVID and lockdown and pandemic hasn't been enough to remind you, are you feeling worse now than you did a year ago? And many, many, many people are. Because throughout, we were being told to limit a lot of our normal activities, and it really has taken its toll. So let me tell you some really encouraging news. When we talk about those 4 elements that I just mentioned, each one of those, even adding one of those to your life, will begin, and they're called interventions, they will begin to slow the aging process and increase longevity and actually the quality of your life, not just the length of your life. 1 or 2 of those interventions can help you live to 75 in a healthy state. All 4 of those conventions in your life, interventions, can actually, now this is the statistics, you can live a healthy life close to 100. And you know, we're hearing a lot about that now. We're studying cultures around the world about how they live, how they eat, their lifestyles, and we're seeing this issue of longevity and aging is just off the charts. So those are things that we are studying and we need to be aware of. So here's what I know and here's what I learned. And I started in one simple phase, in one simple addition to my lifestyle. I began to learn all of this DNA study and all of this genome mapping has led us to understand what we can do in our health world. And we can, through very powerful pathways, activate our genetic pathways. We can access our own biology. That's a quote. We can access our own biology. We can affect our genetic pathways. From the science, we know now that we can actually affect 80% of that DNA just by making those changes. And 20% of that is still going to be controlled by our genetic DNA. But you know, that's a flip in the paradigm, because we used to think that we could really only affect 20% of it and 80% of it was out of our control. So that paradigm has shifted. So there's some very powerful things that you can do inside your own body. You can really, what we call kind of hacking into that DNA and take control of that. So I want you to investigate that. That's what I try to do on these Facebooks. I just want to plant some seeds. If you want to look at this video again, I always post them on my YouTube channel, and you can look at it and think about it and share it. And all these things that I'm sharing with you today are charted out, and the resources along with them. I'm always happy to share those. So if you want proof, I challenge you to get the proof. And I understand how easy it is to do some of these very simple things. And now, as I don't know about you, but I feel like we're kind of getting to the end of this thing. I think more than ever, there's some repair that needs to be going on. There's some activity now that we can start taking hold of, and there's some things that we can do in a more proactive way. And so start reprogramming in a more positive way, and look at ways that you can really look into your own DNA and get back to pre-pandemic, pre-COVID, and really look at the quality of your life for the next however many years that you have. So my YouTube channel, I love to share my research. As I said, the information today is directly from the National Institutes on Aging and National Institutes on Health. And I always love to share information. So for those of you that have joined me live, thank you. And a lot of you join me on the replay. I love that too, and I especially love it. A lot of people share this information when they do get on the replay, so I enjoy that also. So let me know if you have questions, and let me know if you're curious about what some of these pathways look like, and I can share that too. But for now, just learn and understand what you have within your control. And speaking about control, we're getting more of it. So bye everybody, see you next time.